Hey, and welcome to the hangar here at North Shore Airfield in Auckland, New Zealand. You can see from the weather, and you might be able to hear from the audio, that it's not really good flying conditions today. I've really just come out to fuel the aeroplane up for a flight in a couple of days and actually do a couple of camera tests. And I thought I might take the opportunity to show you around the aeroplane. So here it is, Tango Golf Foxtrot. It's a Piper Arrow 3 Turbo, and oh look, it says it on the side, just in case you forget. A Piper Arrow is basically the sports version or the performance version of a really well-established design called the Piper Cherokee, which has been going since the late 1950s. And typical of light aircraft designs, you can still buy an aeroplane much like this. Externally it'll look identical in 2017, and it'll look much like what you would have bought back in the late 1960s. This particular one, and don't freak out, was built in 1978, and that actually makes it sort of average age for a light aircraft. The boom time in manufacture of these things was the 1970s. So let's just look at a few of the key features of the airplane. Up front, you'll see that it's got just the one engine, and sitting on front of that engine is a 3-bladed propeller. And it's a little bit special because instead of just sitting at the same angle all the time, the propeller blades articulate, so they can move to increase or decrease the pitch when we want more or less power. Sort of nestled in behind that fairly aerodynamic looking front is a 6-cylinder 200 horsepower engine and a turbocharger. And what the turbocharger does is it doesn't just make it look sound great on takeoff, although it does. It's really designed so that 200 horsepower carries on up to high altitude, because the higher you get, the thinner the air gets, and the worse your aeroplane or your engine performs. So the turbocharger is there to compensate for that. So this aeroplane will perform well up to about 15,000 feet and is happy going up to 20,000 feet. Our lungs, of course, are a different kettle of fish, but we carry portable oxygen to allow for that. So let's have a look inside the aeroplane. Only one door on the Piper Cherokee and of course the Arrow, but we'll open it on up. And I've left everything turned on for you, so you can see the cockpit here. I'll just do what it tells me to. There we go. So there's the cockpit of the aeroplane. 2 sets of controls. I sit over there, and whoever's lucky enough to be the co-pilot passenger sits over there. iPad here is giving us navigation information as a backup to our main nav instruments, which is this Garmin GPS sitting there in the middle. But apart from that, it's a pretty stock standard instrument equipped light aeroplane cockpit. And by that, by instrument equipped, I mean it's got instruments for navigation, attitude, and performance to tell us where we are in space and to enable us, if necessary, to fly in some pretty bad weather. Around the back, looking further, there's the passenger seats. So we seat 4. You can take 4 medium-sized adults and full tanks of gas in this airplane, which is not always the case for a 4-seat airplane. And just looking out at the wing there, speaking of gas, you can see the red fuel cap, and if you look closely, a kind of a rectangle of silver or stainless steel screws. That's the left wing fuel tank holding 36 US gallons. If you come over to the right, exactly the same on the right hand side. And the last thing I'm going to show you is the baggage compartment, perhaps the least interesting thing, but quite a useful feature on the airplane. So there was actually an optional 5th seat available, but I've never heard of anyone using it. And the baggage compartment is pretty roomy, certainly enough room for bags for 4 people to go away for a weekend. But all I've got in here at the moment is the cleaning gear, spare headsets, survival kit, first aid kit, and my life jacket should I need it. So that is the Piper Arrow 3 Turbo. Tango Golf Foxtrot is our registration. Zulu Kilo is the New Zealand prefix. Thank you so much for watching.